Hey, what's up everybody? This is Superbrick501 and today I want to show you guys another Mayhem 10 black build. Now this build is good enough to do anything on Mayhem 10, including one-shot a bunch of the bosses without immunity phases, but this build is mostly suited and built around doing the Mayhem Takedown because of the density of enemies. Now if the upcoming Guardian Takedown is anything like the Mayhem Takedown right now and has a lot of enemies around a lot of the time, this build will be really strong for that. And if not, there will probably be ways to augment this build to be a bit better for that. So with all that being said, we can go into our talents. Now this build is built around having infinite ammo with a rocket launcher or something close to that, so a lot of our talents are going into that. And the first tree we're going into is the Stalker Tree because we are going fade away. So first, self-repairing systems, health regen, max health, 5 into fierce attack, which is just a stacking buff that gives you gun damage, handling, and pet damage. 2 into eager to impress, may need to get lower in a tree. It's a kill skill that reduces your action skill cooldown time, which will help a little bit. You don't need it much, but there's not really anything else that's super important right here. Turn tail and run. You gain health regen and damage reduction when moving, and when you stand still, gun damage and fire rates. 2 in a hidden machine, when nothing's attacking you, pretty much you gain increased damage. 3 into the fast and the furious, when you're above half health, your gun damage and movement speed are increased, and your pet has increased damage as well. This is pretty good because we have a lot of health regen, so this is up a majority of the time. Rage and recover, kill skill, after killing an enemy, flak and your pet regenerate a bunch of your missing health per second, which helps us just not die as much and have some of our other talents up. Then we have the power inside. You and your pet gain increased damage when you activate an action skill. If you're at full health, it's doubled up to 50% for 15 seconds. And this is really good because with how quick we get our action skill back, this is a majority of the time. We'll almost always have full health when activating it, or a good chunk of the time at least. So you'll have this up all the time. Next tree, Master. We only got 3 points, and this is Persistent Hunter. It gives gun damage, but mainly it's for action skill duration. So you can hold your action skill if you need to because you're stealth, so you're much tankier and you can hold it for if you're not fighting enemies right now, going into something else, or just waiting. Then we go into the Hunter Tree, Interplanetary Stalker. Now the class mod we're using does give us a chance to get any of our kill skills just by hitting enemies. So that's why we have a lot of kill skills. So Interplanetary Stalker, it's a kill skill. Anytime you kill something, you gain damage stacks, which also give stacks depending on what enemy you're killing. Then one of the super important talents, Leave No Trace. When you score a critical hit, there's a chance to return 1 ammo to the magazine. Super important. The other super important talent is head count. Whenever you score a critical hit, there's a chance your action skill cooldown is reduced, and this is just a reduction of 2 seconds. And you'll see when we go over the weapons and you see the gameplay why these two pretty much just constantly give us infinite ammo and give us our action skill super quickly. Then Hunter's Eye, you gain buffs when fighting different enemies, and because of our class mod, you gain all of these buffs when fighting bosses. So that's super good. It makes in this build super strong against bosses, even though it's pretty much completely built for killing lots of enemies. Then 3 in the most dangerous game, another kill skill, which will proc off just our class mod just from shooting things. So this will be up pretty much 100% of the time, gives a bunch of different buffs as you can see. Then big game, your hunter skills have increased duration and 30% increased effects. 1 into Galactic Shadow, you deal increased critical hit damage, which is very good, just a good damage increase. 2 into Grim Harvest, which gives us some gun damage, access skill damage, and pet damage, mainly to get lower in the tree. Then Megavore, this is super important as well. You gain a chance to score a critical hit with weapons against any body part, so that just increases our crit, increases our damage, and synergizes with a lot of our other talents. For the pet I'm currently using Spider Enchantress, not Spider Enchantress. This one you can do if you need to be more tanky, and mainly for switching pets. If you feel like you're dying, you could switch to this if you need some more health regen, some damage reduction. I usually use the Scorcher actually, which is elemental damage, mainly for that, gives them health regen, but you can switch up if you want to use other pets as well. It's not super important. Max health, movement speed, critical damage is also one of the good damage ones. For our action skill, we are using Fade Away, then we're using Until You're Dead, which you gain health regen and movement speed, which also persists at the end of it. And then Unblinking Eye, your successful hits on the same target increases your critical hit damage. The reason we are doing this stuff will be more apparent, and not using Gorilla in the Mist will be more apparent when you see the gameplay and we go into the items, which is what we're going into now. Now, this build is pretty hard to gear for, specifically because getting lumps are very hard. It actually took me a long time to even find a couple of these. I'd recommend going and doing the slaughter shaft and just killing all the badasses you can. The one on Pandora, that is going to be the best way to get these. And basically what these are, if you don't know, it shoots out a big ball that normally, or that all the time, sends lines to every enemy in the area that does really quick damage over time. It's hitting all the enemies in the area, and all those hits can crit, which will proc a lot of our talents, give us ammo back, all that type of stuff. And then the balls explode, shooting projectiles to everything that can also crit. So this is why it's very much built for mobbing and more for the raid, because there's so many enemies and this thing just hits everything in the area for a lot of damage and a lot of crits. Get it ×2 if you can. The 300% increased weapon damage is very good. Just get any other elements you can on these lumps. They're very strong, but you pretty much need lumps for the mobbing with this build. Then for our shield, I'm currently using the enhanced old god. Any take your shield's good. Old gods are good. With on action skill end, you gain increased elemental damage. That's always going to be good. Again, the old god, just because of the extra elemental damage on them, are going to be super strong. Also, transformers are super tanky. Rechargers are super good. Stuff like that. That's super tanky is also going to be good alternatives. For our grenade, we don't really use it, so we're just using another on action skill end anointed for elemental damage. Make sure not to stack the anointed on the grenade and the shield mod. We already went over our class mod, and the talents on this are pretty good. I think this is probably the best because I do like having the blue talent, I forget what it's even called, to just get it as an activatable pretty much, and it just gives you damage stacking up. So it's nice to have one into that because it's just some extra damage. And for the secondaries, I got a pretty good roll in this. Not the best, not the actual god roll, but the charge speed's super good because the lumps are charged, so you definitely want that on your class mod. And then weapon damage, the magazine size is actually can be a hindrance in this build, I've been figuring out, because it can use more ammo actually, so the magazine size really doesn't matter. So that's just a roll I could definitely get better on. Then we're using the flesh melter victory rush for our artifact, because if you're just using a corrosive weapon, stacking up the flesh melter will actually make it do more damage than any other element can do, even if you're using the element that's best against whatever you're fighting. So if you're using a shock launcher like right here, it's going to do, you know, extra damage against shields, but if you have a stacked up flesh melter with a corrosive weapon, that's going to do more damage against a shield than a shock weapon will. This has max health, which isn't a good roll. Magazine says, again, not that great of a roll. Can help sometimes, but not really with this build that much. Air effect damage, pretty good. So we got a half decent roll. It is a victory rush flesh melter, which is good by itself. So that is pretty much the entirety of the build. It's pretty fun. It's definitely not the strongest flak build. If you're going into it thinking it's the strongest flak build right now, it's definitely not. It's really good at the takedown. Possibly can be good with a new takedown depending on the mob density, but it is a pretty fun build and definitely a bit unique compared to a lot of the other flak builds. So that's a main reason I want to go over it. It's a pretty fun build to play with, and can still do everything on Mayhem 10, so that's good. So that's the entirety of the build. Subscribe if you want to see more Borderlands 3 content. Leave a like if you liked the video. Leave a comment down below what you guys think about this build, and thanks for watching.
Ready to pounce. Witness. Enjoy the spotlight. Ask.
Intel says there's an elevator down to the lower levels. Make your way there and be ready for some heavy resistance. I'm counting on you, Vault Hunter.
Line up those rats! Ratches! Whatever! I'm sick of them! Vault Hunter spotted! We are compromised!
Run! Run, you weakling! He's down!
Out! Front gate!
Keep them busy.
Release the hounds!
All of you are weak. See if my knife can...
Firepower! Bring out the prototype!
The end is nigh. This is the will of the heavens.
They'll never... Thrill of the hunt!
Let me test your mettle. I will be.
Again, Valkyrie. When the death song begins.
Those were advanced mechs, but we're after something bigger. Keep going.